According to specialist investigator Mike Bolhuis, the kidnapping season in South Africa is well and truly underway. In fact, it's as the search for 4 Polokwane siblings continues. In that same week, 2 Johannesburg businessmen were also reportedly abducted. The latest crime statistics indicate an exponential rise in the type of crime, and by all indications, it actually may get worse. Mike Bolhuis joins us now via our video link. He's in Plettenberg Bay for us. And Mike, it's great to see you. Thanks very much indeed for speaking to the AM report. I mean, it's quite startling that we even speak of a kidnapping season in South Africa. I mean, help us place what we're actually saying there. For one, how steep an increase in this crime do we see around this time of the year?
Yes. Look, kidnapping has been a problem in South Africa of late in the last couple of years, but it escalates, and it escalates yearly. But not only that, October, November, and December, crime can escalate up to 200%. It's like the criminals makes decisions like those holiday goers. Let's jump in and do as much as we can and commit as much possible crime as possible, and then crime drops a bit in the beginning of the next year, and then it escalates during the year again.
The springboard of our conversation is around these 4 siblings in Polokwane who were kidnapped some time ago now. We're yet to hear any kind of update. Speak to us about typically the kind of victims that are targeted around the so-called kidnapping season.
Okay, so kidnapping will only occur mostly if there's a money transaction, money that can be made. In other words, a person of no value will not be taken. These kidnappers also do thorough investigations. They're professionals. They know exactly what's going on. They know where the cameras are, what the authorities do, or what the authorities do in the area. They know everything of the family. They will even know their financials. So they would like us as specialist investigators, they will do their own special investigation and they will find out absolutely everything, and they are patient. And then at the right time, they will grab the person or persons, like in this situation, the kids. And the kids is of most value to them and obviously to the parents. And then they will negotiate an amount, and obviously we as parents will do anything and everything to get our kids back. And that's what they bargain on. And that's what they're going to try and do. It's our opinion in this situation that the kids were taken in order to get a ransom amount of money for them back.
Sure. And I guess that answers the question I was hoping to ask you next. I mean, police haven't said it unequivocally, but are you linking this, for instance, to the prominence of their father, right?
Yes. The kids themselves is the main ball that they play here. They know that this family is very tight, and they know that the other families joined to this family is very tight. So they will ask for a very serious amount. This is a high-level kidnapping. This is of the highest that you do get, and they will obviously ask for in the millions. And they know what the family is all about and what they will do to get their kids back. And there's nothing they wouldn't know of the family. They would have done a complete investigation.
Right. How much of this kind of crime do you reckon, Mike, takes place because criminals know that they're just unlikely to be found, let alone be brought to book?
Yeah, you know, crime begets crime. So if crime is being done in a specific area and it's not dealt with, if there's no visual policing, it's not prevented, and it's not dealt with severely. And at that, I must also say there's no proper punishment infrastructure in place, because the criminal of today commits crime because he can get away with it. And he knows if he gets caught, you know, he might even jump bail and just disappear. There are so many criminals out there that got bail and they just never return. And there are so many criminals there that has committed crime after crime after crime, and they keep on getting bail. And crime pays. So crime begets crime. And in kidnapping, especially for sophisticated career criminals, specialist criminals, it is a once-off where they can make multi of millions. We have been involved with kidnappings where hundreds of millions of rands have been paid, and they've been mostly successful. You know, they do release they will not harm the kids. They will keep the kids until a negotiated amount has been paid, and they will give the kids back, and they will live on that ransom money for quite a long time. And other criminals see that, and they start their own groups, their own sophisticated crime syndicates, and they will follow and do the same, unfortunately.
Sure. And before we know it, there's a whole industry where all manner of people benefit because of the sideshows that take place outside of the kidnapping itself. But speaking of complexity, Mike, I mean, there are people who, for instance, there's a term, I think, that came from the U.S. that typically you don't negotiate with terrorists. I'm not sure if the culprits behind this particular crime are considered terrorists officially, but given your experience and your work, does it make sense to enter into negotiations and to pay this money given the results thereafter? In fact, the more successful, if I understand you correctly, these criminals are, the more likely they are to actually continue with the crime itself.
Look, the authorities and we as specialist investigators would always look for as much as possible information in order to catch them, hoping that they've made a mistake, hoping that the public will come forward, and this is where we beg the public to be paranoid, look around, especially in that area if something is out of touch, like it wasn't before, seeing maybe a building that is suddenly occupied, stuff like that. What I'm saying is the public must be extremely aware of their surroundings constantly, especially with this crime that's now so broadcasted everywhere. But the aim here is to see if there's going to be a mistake in communication and to profile, I don't want to say too much because you never know who's listening in, but the profiling of what's on the other side will determine in which way you will move forward. Can you play for time? Can you lure them in? Is there a possibility that they would harm the kids? Because I unfortunately have to say that you get cases where they will get the kids on the line and they will be in total anguish and they will be terrified and be screaming and begging their parents to get them back. And I mean, think for yourself, everybody there, if your child calls you in the hands of criminals, and remember these criminals rely on the, that the thought in your mind would be that they're dangerous, that they're violent, that they will kill the kids. And that's what they rely on. So, and they will say it. So it's all very important to profile the whole situation and then make an informed decision which way you're going to go forward in negotiating with terrorists or not. But unless there is clear information that does not put the kids at harm or the family and the kids could be rescued, then obviously you would not negotiate. You would act upon your information and rescue the children. Yeah.
In the context, very quickly, Mike, of a kidnapping for the purposes of human trafficking, we're told that time is absolutely crucial if you have any hope of finding the victim. In this particular case, I'm getting the sense from you that, in fact, time all depends on how things like negotiations take place because the criminals themselves want something out of this.
In my opinion, in this case, it's highly unlikely that the kids were taken to be sold or trafficked. I would be surprised, but you do get that. There's a lot of children that are taken. Unfortunately, that's another subject. It does happen.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, these families were, this family and their people and all the people involved with them were carefully scrutinized, investigated, and the main aim would be, it was very well done, the kidnapping. I mean, the phones weren't taken, it was dropped. Everything that happened at that scene clearly shows it's a high-level kidnapping, like they would always do with the overseas gentlemen and businessmen that is in South Africa. It's usually one man that they would take that is extremely valuable, extremely rich. They have everything of him. I think it's the same. I think they just went on another level that has upset us, the world, and that's why I say the punishment should be severe here. Let me put it to you straight. If I were to catch these guys, the possibility for me handing them over to the authorities will be very little, because I have absolutely no place in my heart for somebody that harms women, children, or old people. And I just hope the police gets them before any of us which feels like this, because unfortunately, the criminal nowadays, he knows he gets caught and he gets treated sometimes even like royalty. He gets bail. And this really upsets this country. We need very harsher, much harsher punishment structures in place.
It's on that sobering note that we'll have to leave it. Mike Bolhuis, thanks very much indeed for your time and insights on the AM report. Really do appreciate it. Mike is a specialist investigator helping us understand, I guess, the dynamics behind what is now termed kidnapping season in South Africa. Once again, Mike, thanks very much indeed.